Welcome to Touchline Talk by Soccerspective. We highlight world-class soccer managers and translate their tactics for youth soccer coaches. So whether this is your first time coaching youth soccer, or if you're a seasoned veteran, or just a fan of the game, welcome to Touchline Talk. Welcome to Touchline Talk by Soccerspective. I'm your host of Touchline Talk, Brandon Faust, and we thought Touchline Talk would be a fitting name for a soccer coaching podcast because it captures the essence of where coaching happens in the heart of tactical discussions. The touchline in soccer is the sideline. It's where coaches live and breathe the game, directing players, adjusting strategies, and making real-time decisions that impact the flow of play. This name reflects our podcast's mission, which is to bring coaches closer to the minds of top managers and translate their sideline insights into practical advice for youth and grassroots soccer coaches. It's about understanding the game from a tactical perspective and empowering coaches to influence their teams just as effectively from their own touchlines. Our Soccerspective YouTube channel has well over 20,000 subscribers, and we are here to build another weekly resource to connect with and empower youth and amateur soccer coaches. Hitting the like and the subscribe button to the Soccerspective YouTube is free for you, and it helps us a ton. When you like and subscribe the Soccerspective YouTube channel, it ensures that you always see when we release new podcast episodes and other coaching resource videos too. It brings it right to you as you go to your YouTube dashboard. So you can receive very quickly those tactical insights and practical coaching tips and make sure that you don't miss a thing. It's a win-win. You'll elevate your coaching game with valuable content. It's free for you, and your support helps us to grow and create even more resources for the greater soccer coaching community. Now, in this show, we're going to break down the world of elite soccer management. So whether you're a fan or an aspiring coach or have been a coach for decades, this is going to be helpful to you. We're going to connect it to the grassroots game and give you practical resources and tools. And I'm your host, and I'm excited to be able to dive in to studying these world-class managers, looking at some tactics that we can apply to coaching youth soccer. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself before we get in here, not too much, but a little bit about myself and why I'm hosting this show for Soccerspective. I'm Brandon Faust, a former professional soccer player turned soccer coach with USSF and United Soccer Coaches credentials here in the U.S. and an FA Talent Scout certification as well. My playing career, I played in high school. I was first team All-State in high school, went on to play in college, played very briefly professionally overseas and in various leagues in the U.S. soccer hierarchy. As a coach, I've worked with youth and kids of all levels, have had the privilege of hosting soccer camps and clinics on the continents of Asia and Africa, as well as in places in Central America and the United States. I've coached varsity high school soccer here in the U.S., all the way down to junior academy, which I'm actively doing right now. And as the host of Soccerspective and someone who is actively coaching youth, I'm passionate about breaking down elite soccer tactics for grassroots coaches, taking those top principles and implementing them to benefit our youth and to help them in their development. So here's kind of going to be the structure of this podcast of Touchline Talk as we move forward. We're going to have a manager spotlight. We're going to look at their journey and influences as a player and as a coach. We're going to look at tactics and insights. We're going to probably zero in on one practical tactical insight that we can apply as we coach. So whether you're a parent and this is your first time coaching, you've been coaching maybe for 10 or 15 years, and you maybe just need some fresh ways to see things or a simple tool to grab. I bumped into Soccerspective years ago as I was looking for different drills. Maybe that's the case for you to help me kind of refresh my tool bag and help me grow as a coach. So we hope that this format helps bridge high-level soccer principles with hands-on resources for coaches at every level. So now we're going to get into our first manager that we're going to spotlight, our first coach to spotlight, and that's a hot button name right now, especially coming off the heels of a 4-1 victory, Sporting Lisbon over Manchester City in the Champions League, and that is Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim, hot button name, is leaving Sporting Lisbon after a lot of success there and moving to one of the biggest clubs on the planet in Manchester United. He'll do that later in November. He's one of Europe's youngest and most promising managers. He was even sought after for the Liverpool job. He has innovative ideas, a defined play style, and he helped lead Sporting Lisbon back to its first league title in 19 years in the 2020-2021 season. He's a former midfield player, would sometimes play centrally, would sometimes play out wide. And it seems like the majority of former players that become high-level managers at a young age seem to have been, some sort of midfield player. And he quickly rose through the ranks and has become one of Portugal's most sought-after managers, and now all of Europe's most sought-after managers, and now just landing this job with Manchester United. So why Ruben Amorim is somebody to spotlight? It's not just notable because of his young age, right, of what he's done and how he's turned Sporting Lisbon around. And I'm sure a lot of Manchester United fans are excited for how he might turn them around. But he has this innovative style, a flexible 3-4-3 formation. He incorporates a high press. That 3-4-3 can assimilate into like a back five if needed. They love to press high. They love to dominate possession at his time at Sporting Lisbon. And he's had a commitment to developing young talent. And you've seen that shine. You've seen that shine even if you watch the match just this week against Manchester City. You watch that on display. So Ruben Amorim, a little bit about him as a player. He began his playing career as a midfielder, known for his tactical intelligence and work rate. And he played primarily in the Portugal league there, and most notably with Benfica, where he won several league titles and cup competitions as a player. He has 14 international appearances, 14 caps with Portugal's senior national team, including being named to the alternate list for the 2010 World Cup, where he actually ended up playing in that, and then was also named in the 2014 World Cup team for Portugal as well. He was a disciplined midfielder. He was known as being a facilitator, known for his hard work, all of those kinds of things. And if you were to compare kind of his coaching journey from a player journey to a coaching journey, I guess an American maybe equivalent that you could think about in some of the other major sports would be somebody like Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was a point guard in basketball, was a facilitator, passer, great defender, very smart, intelligent player, maybe not the top scorer all the time or things like that. And then he quickly got into coaching and had some various levels of success, coaching in the NBA, still coaching as well, from my understanding. And Ruben Amorim kind of has that similar thing. Ruben's under 40 still, got into coaching after his playing career right away, and using his knowledge and experience and his intelligence from a player really translated well into the coaching arena as well. Although Amorim does not cite one specific mentor who's influenced him, you can clearly see he's been influenced by modern European tactical trends like a high press, somewhat like, Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp has implemented over the years. Loves to press, loves to create turnovers in the attacking, while they're in their attacking third, put pressure on defense. During his time when he started coaching at Braga, he started as a youth coach and then soon took over the senior team, implementing this high pressing, high tempo, adaptable style that he's known for. And it kind of mirrors the rise of somebody like Julian Nagelsmann, who ascended very quickly through the coaching ranks. And also he came up through the youth coaching system, and then boom, next thing you know, he's coaching big time teams, just like Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim is really, really known as we start to look at this tactic. And I want to emphasize there's going to be a practical tool at the end here, and it doesn't demand that you play a 3-4-3 formation. So let me just say that. But it's really important when we think about Ruben Amorim and his success, his commitment to a play style, to high press and to play a 3-4-3. This setup allows for defensive stability as he can drop it back into a back five if needed. It demands a lot out of his players, particularly those wing backs. And it gives a lot of offensive versatility, which we're going to talk through a little bit. This 3-4-3 often looks like a 3-4-2-1. is often what it looks like in an in-game situation. And then it can quickly drop into, in defense, kind of like a 5-4-1, if you will. So they get numbers back if they're winning in a game or if a match is tight. They drop those numbers back a little bit. I remember myself playing in high school. We played a 3-4-3, and it demanded that everyone defends. And it gives you numbers in attack a little bit more quickly in transition, which we've seen Ruben Amorim really utilize that. We're going to take a look at a match that took place on October 29th, Sporting Lisbon versus Nacional. And this is in the Allianz Cup, which is the League Cup quarterfinal in Portugal, right? And he has them line up in a 3-4-3 that looks kind of like a 3-4-2-1. And we see very early in this game that he has a fairly well-defined play style. What we see happening is they're getting numbers forward by getting players, that wide player or an overlapping player to the byline. So we're going to take a look at what that looks like. And that's going to be kind of the principle we're going to look at is how do I get my wide players deep to the byline to create matchup issues in the box that give us a scoring opportunity. So in attack, how do we get wide and how do we get to the byline and look for a low cross, if you will. So in this first section here, what we're going to see is we're going to see a wide player starting to move in. A wide player is starting to move in, making a defender commit. And then what happens is there's now an opportunity for that central midfielder, most likely, to complete an overlapping run. And now there's all kinds of space, time and attention. The ball's played into space, and now that midfielder is getting the ball to the byline. And now we're seeing there are numbers, literally numbers, in the box to the advantage of Sporting Lisbon here. And Sporting is going in attack. They've got, basically 5-on-3 in the box because you have Nacional trying to recover those two guys that are high in the box you can see here in the clip. So get to the byline, play the ball in. They didn't score on that chance, but they created a great opportunity through a low cross. Instead of whipping in a cross and you're trying to reach for a header, they're trying to play it right, a low cross right into feet that the attacking players can put right into the goal. Once again, we see an opportunity to come inside. The wide player has the opportunity to come inside and create a little bit of a 1v1. And instead of taking it to the byline, what he can do is look for that striker or one of those front three to make a diagonal run, right? Make a diagonal run. And now that attacking player can be the player that gets down to the byline. In this case, he plays the ball into space. Boom, this attacking player gets to the byline, plays a low controlled cross. It doesn't go in, but it does ricochet, and there's a rebound, and Sporting Lisbon scores off of it, right? So once again, creates that mismatch and a great goal-scoring opportunity. The other thing I want to look at in this, before we look again at opportunities with the byline in attack, is when they defend, he demands a lot out of these, wing backs, if you will, or if you have outside midfielders, or maybe in certain setups, a winger, whatever that looks like. There's a lot of demand in attack and in defense of these players. So here you can see Sporting Lisbon gets back. There's basically 5 defenders in a line, and they're compact, right? They're compact. They do not want to get beat down the middle. They can recover. It actually gives your players, when you're playing compact like that, an opportunity to catch their breath a little bit, because then you're going to demand, when we get possession, to get wide once again. So you can see the numbers that Sporting Lisbon has back here, and Nacional actually ends up having to settle for like a shot from 23, 25 yards out. Keeper handles it just fine. Now, to move into this match that had a little bit more shine on it, if you will, is this Manchester City match against Sporting Lisbon. Once again, these are some of the final matches Ruben Amorim will coach until he transitions over to coaching at Manchester United later in November. Surprising, Sporting Lisbon won this 4-1. Some great goals in this match, 2 great penalties, but both of these penalties were created once again, one on the left side, one on the right side, of a player trying to get down to the byline. And Manchester City knows they're in trouble mismatch-wise if that player gets to the byline because of the numbers that Sporting Lisbon are going to get into the box. And 2 times they get the 1v1, they're getting to the byline. And even if you don't get a cross-off, you might get fouled. And that happened twice in this match. And Victor Gyökeres buries both of the penalties. I mean, in just thundered both of them into the goal. And once again, Ruben Amorim, going toe-to-toe with Pep Guardiola. I'm sure Manchester United fans are very excited to see that and to see those tactics working. So the point of this is not to say you need to play a 3-4-3. You might be like me, and you're coaching kids that are playing 7v7. And in a 7v7, what we like to line up with is a three at the back, 2 in midfield, and 1 up top, and then obviously a goalkeeper. And we have those back three, those wide defenders, those kind of wing backs. We love using them in attack. We love using them in attack to get into 1v1s, to try and get to the byline. And if they can't get into the byline, how can they move in? And then can we look for that midfielder to complete an overlapping run so we can still find a way to attack by getting wide and high up the pitch? And so I'm going to show you this drill here. Once again, this applies for any wide player on your team, okay? And we want to give kids opportunities. We want to give the people we're coaching opportunities, regardless if their natural position is as a wide player or not. They might find themselves on the pitch in that position at some place. So in this drill, really what we're going to be looking at here is we've got 2 players that are essentially on the end line. And those players are on the end line. We have the player in red you can see here is the single defender. And then we have 1 player out wide. We want that wide player outside those cones. We want them to be comfortable near the touch line, moving up and down the touch line to give us that width. Now, the player that starts with the ball is going to dribble it onto the field, and we want to see that defender commit. Once that defender commits, can that player now play a ball wide? A nice low ball on the ground, controlled pass to that wide player. When that wide player gets the ball, on this first iteration, we're just trying to teach them, get to the byline, get to the byline. Whether you're coaching college players, high school players, middle school, or elementary age, it doesn't matter. We want them to get down to the byline, so play that ball to their feet, and then let's go with pace. Let's go with pace. You can even make them throw in a skill move here before we throw in an extra defender, and now they're running down the byline, and we're looking to get that low cross to our 2 attacking players who have ran up the field. The defender's trying to, play transition defense here. Play a low ball into the box, and then, you can use it as part of a finishing drill as well. Okay, so that's iteration 1. Just get down to the byline, play a good ball in. The second iteration I want you to think about is we want to do the same thing. Player brings it onto the field. Defender moves up to defend. We play it out wide to the wide player. The wide player gets down to the byline. And now instead of playing it, say, with their right foot here, we want them to cut it back onto their left and play a low-driven ball in on the ground if they can with their left foot. Okay, so that's step number 2. Now, step number 3, this is where there's a little variation, and I think this is a great principle for kids just to have in their tool bag. Is now, once again, we start the same way. Player brings the ball into the field. Defender commits. We play out the ball out wide. Now the wide player is seeing that there's an opportunity to take space inside the field. So they, instead of going down the byline, they're coming into the central part of the field, dribbling. The defender commits. What we're doing now is we're dragging with us that defender and then creating space for an overlapping run. So the player who had previously played the ball into the wide player is now completing that overlapping run, and now the ball gets played to that overlapping run down the byline, and now they're playing the ball into the box to the 2 central players. And so this is an important thing. We saw this in Ruben Amorim's style of players get their 1v1s, get down to the byline, and then also create space, create the threat of moving inside. Once we're wide, can we move inside and look for that overlapping run to create even more space and scoring opportunities for the team? Some additional things you can stack onto this. You could throw a second defender in there, as well as an additional attacker out wide, so you could go 4v2, and then you could have the players choose which side they want to go to and have them practice getting down the byline, have them practice those overlapping runs. Additionally, you could move it into a 6v4 situation or an 8v6 or 11v11, and then I would encourage finding ways to award and reward players that complete a successful overlapping run. If you score by getting down to the byline on a cutback cross, you give them 3 points instead of 1 for the goal, things like that, to really just give them choices, right? Not play off a script, but give them choices to go 1v1 and get to the byline, choices to take it inside and create space for that overlapping run, which creates very realistic game-like situations. But what we see here is when you play this way, that wide player, it demands a lot to get out wide and then to get high up the pitch. So how do we make sure our defense is solid and compact, which we saw Ruben Amorim do with that 3-4-3. They get back into a back five, whether that's, if the wingback gets caught in transition, how does that number 6 or number 8 in central midfield drop in to defense as well? I think it's also critical, low crosses into feet and to players running on have a high success rate of going in, as well as those cutbacks, cutting on to maybe your opposite foot, and playing a low ball there as opposed to just whipping crosses in left and right. And especially if you're coaching younger kids, we're not supposed to be heading the ball anyways. In the States, we're not doing that at certain age levels. And so how do we help our team get into situations as opposed to playing a lofted ball in? The success rate of can we play a ball into feet gives us an opportunity to make a difference in the game and put some goals in the back of the net. So this week, Ruben Amorim, current Sporting Lisbon coach that's about to be the former coach there, moving into coaching at Manchester United, getting to the byline. Can we get to the byline? Players usually love these kind of drills because they get lots of touches on the ball. They can do the things that they love, dribble, cross, and some finishing in there, and it can keep it high tempo, and you can really implement this into the game. We want to say thank you for jumping into this first episode of Touchline Talk. We're going to continue to provide these resources weekly to help connect the world's game and world's class managers into grassroots coaching principles and really help distill it down. So whether you're a coach, maybe you're just a fan and you just want to understand the game a little bit differently, this is a way for you to do that. If you're a parent and this is your first time coaching and you're not sure what to do, we're going to be giving a little bit of tools, some that are pretty simple, some that get a little bit more complex, but we would love for you to stay on the journey to help you as you develop as a coach and as you raise up the next generation of soccer players wherever you're joining us from. So drop us a like and subscribe. It's free for you to do it. Just push that button. Drop us a like and subscribe to make sure that you are always seeing this content when we have new content that we put out there, whether from this podcast or other coaching resources. And we want to say thank you, and we will see you next time on Touchline Talk by Soccerspective.